We're gonna go from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, starting us off in Cutman stage in Mega Man 1. We begin with Cutman stage because not a whole lot of items can actually make the stage be sped up. And also, Cutman can take quite a bit of damage from the Buster, and once you get the rolling cutter, you can take down Electman pretty easily. Electman is really difficult with the Buster, and most importantly, on Electman stage, we'll be getting the Magnet Beam, which is kind of the primary item to use to execute all the crazy glitches and techniques in this run. Coming up on this next screen here in Mega Man 1 is one of the notorious like 2-tile high corner jumps. Let's see how many of our players get it. It looks like everyone that went for it got it just fine. Very nice. Moving through the rest of Cutman stage here.
Really good execution so far. So another trick you're going to see these players doing is they're going to be using Select to kind of shorten the damage animation there and get through enemies a lot quicker. You'll notice that throughout the run. They can also use Select on the bosses, but that won't happen until a little bit later.
Yeah, the select button is a magical thing in this game. It's pretty unique in the entire Mega Man series. It's used to execute quite a few things, and you need some dexterous fingers to be constantly reaching for the select button there. All these players doing a great job so far.
Timing for it is always different between bosses, so the runners have to be very aware of which boss they're fighting and know the timings for each one.
So here's an interesting tiny little glitch there. You see them grabbing the ladder on the bottom of the screen from the top of the screen. Just a small sample of a few interesting things to come here. And this big guy is kind of annoying, doing 10 damage on contact, and it's pretty much a 50-50 shot whether or not you run into him. But Cutman fight is quite easy. I don't think any of our runners will have too much issue here.
So yeah, you're not going to see too much difference here in this first stage. It's pretty straightforward. But once we start getting into the later stages, you're going to probably see a little bit of separation from our runners. But as Agdq mentioned, this is a scripted fight, so these guys shouldn't have too much problem with Cutman at all. And it looks like everybody is taking him down pretty easily.
All right, Cutman down. Nice job. And we have a pretty tight spread here, everyone entering Elect stage, and this stage is completely different from Cutman stage. It's sort of vertically oriented, and it's much more difficult, even in casual play and speedrunning across the board. Even this first room is extremely challenging to get out of if you've ever played this game. But quite a bit of select button usage to buffer through some of the damage that you take. Some really just dangerous jumps coming up, and most importantly, about halfway through the stage, we'll be checking out that Magnet Beam, one of the most critical sections of this run.
So as you can see, this stage is very vertical. These players are going to be going up quite a bit. There's going to be a tight corner jump that's coming up, and if it is missed by any of our players, they're going to lose 12 seconds or so. So they're going to have to be pretty careful.
Okay, and here's this, the next corner jump.
Oh, it's got it.
A couple of retries, nobody's fallen yet. Everybody's up there.
All right, everybody's through. All right, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, in a race, those times the jumps are always really scary, so nice to see them all just nail it.
And we're coming up pretty quick to the Magnet Beam early grab. So normally you need to have the super arm, which you get from Gutsman, to grab and move these blocks. But Mega Man's ladders are kind of strange. By kind of shooting and grabbing a ladder at the same time, you can zip out of bounds, and the runners have to be extremely careful here to grab this and not get stuck inside. Okay.
Oh, careful.
Yes! Everybody is through. No soft blocks.
All right. As many of you know, you can get stuck there. So it's really great to see all the players getting through, and now they can start using that Magnet Beam to send these ladders a little quicker. It's pretty slow to climb the ladder, so they're going to be making very good use of that Magnet Beam to get all the way up to the top and fight Electman.
Yeah, not a whole ton of ability to start zipping with it yet, but we're going to see that in the very next stage.
Yeah, the Magnet Beam is really the primary weapon that really distinguishes this run from every other Mega Man game and most other games in general. I mean, it just has such insane utility, and some of the glitches coming up it can really do some amazing things. It's a truly unique addition to the speedrun.
And this boss fight is pretty straightforward. They're just gonna fire 3 shots here. No real RNG to speak of. And that was a close one there for Cool Kid. Be careful now.
Yeah, we don't normally see a Lek-Man get a shot, but Andy gets that really high orb grab as well, so saving a few frames there as well.
These guys have been doing a great job of keeping it close so far, but Iceman is where the difficulty ramps up. This can be a pretty scary stage. We're gonna see some zips starting now.
Yeah, this is a really challenging stage, and from what I understand, talking to the runners before, a lot of them are pretty afraid of this stage comparatively to the rest of the stages. So there's a real critical section with some of the magnet beams. You really want to get some of these vertical screen wraps to avoid having to jump through the really slow Yoku block sections. Another thing to note is that walking in the water is a little slower, so all of our runners are going to try and just stick the magnet beams above the water and keep above that. So here's the zip setup. The runners only have a limited amount of ammo to set this up, so it's really important that they get it or just go ahead and move on. And we get a couple of nice vertical zips here from
through.
Oh, okay. And pretty much everybody except for Team Rush has made it through. And this section here, crossing this large gap, these floating platform guys can be really finicky. Oof. And Dexter taking a death there on the center of Iceman stage.
So we have been told that Team Auto is winning the audience straw poll with 47% of the votes. They're looking for that automatic win. Team Auto, look out. Cool Kid, he's the world record holder. He's played this game quite a bit, and he's had some success in GDQs, that's for sure, but still a pretty close race overall.
Yeah, Dexter really fortunate actually with regard to how he did the zips in the first room. He had a lot of extra beam and able to go through that long section again fairly easily.
And we get to see our first instance of the select invulnerability cancel glitch on Robot Masters. Easily taking down a boss just with a single projectile. You'll see that quite a bit, the use of the select button really showing itself in the Iceman stage.
Nice corridor zips there.
Yeah, those corridor zips, just if you have any spare magnet beams, you can kind of place those. Every one of those placements is pixel perfect, and these runners are just nailing them all the time. I mean, I just can't even understand that. It's really a next level thing. I mean, using the magnet beam to just kind of avoid going up and down these slow ladder sections. So in Fireman stage, we really want to watch out for the last part of the stage. There's a critical zip.
Yeah, all these magnet beam placements are critical here in this stage. Just a lot of very difficult placements and a lot of zips to be done. And we can see that the Team Auto and I believe that would be Team Roll are keeping it pretty close.
White Hat gets that nice little screen scroll again too, so saving a few more frames.
Yeah, it's kind of an optional little zip here. Okay, so here is the big Fireman stage zip coming up. This is really important that these guys get this because if you don't have the inputs just right, you can just fall and die because Mega Man's kind of on the bottom of the screen here.
Ooh. Cool Kid is through, but unfortunately it looks like Team Roll did not make it.
And the difficult thing about that is mostly you just lose all the magnet beam you had acquired up to that point, and it might not be possible to attempt the zip again.
All right, nice job there by Team Rush as well, getting that zip heading into the boss. So once again, just using that select trick. Just have to be mindful of how many iframes each boss has. Space it out correctly.
And Team Beat making it through the Fireman zip. Team Roll progressing to the boss, while Team Rush and Team Auto are making their way to the next stage, which is Bomb Man. And with that, we can probably get a few donations in the first half of Bomb Man stage here.
All right, we have a $30 donation from Slurpee Ninja, saying third-time donator, long-time speedrunner. This is a shout out to all my classic Mega Man crew. This is what I've been waiting for all week. We also have a $15 donation from Conster that says, Conster here, wish all of the classic Mega Man best of luck. This donation goes to the winning team's choice. Go Team Beat.
All right, progressing through Bomb Man stage here. It's relatively straightforward through the first half. There's a few little magnet beam zips you can kind of squeeze in at the top of the screen. Notice avoiding the Sniper Joe. If you don't use like the ice beam or just stay above him with magnet beams, this guy's gonna follow you all the way to the end here. And the main thing to watch out in Bomb Man stage is the very last section. There is a critical zip setup here. You see on Team Auto, we want to get a magnet beam on a specific pixel, transition the screen vertically, and this last room can be bypassed, and it's quite long, so it's a huge time save. Very nice execution by Team Auto there. Team Rush coming up. See if he gets the pixel. That looks good. And wait. And we're good.
In there.
Trigger the transition. We're good.
Beautiful.
And the Bomb Man fight is relatively straightforward. Just do that select buffer with the fire right on top of him. Goes down nicely.
Yeah, it's worth noting this game doesn't have very much randomness, but Bomb has some of it there. And whether he jumps all the way across the room or a short hop, and he got a good pattern there compared to Cool Kids. So little bit of time difference. You're not going to see a huge swing, I don't think, in this game based on RNG, but it is a little bit of it in here.
So we see on a Cool Kids stream as both Dexter and White Hat successfully execute the Bomb Man zip. Cool Kid going through Gutsman stage. So if you didn't do the early magnet beam grab, say you were playing some sort of a zipless category, you'd start with Gutsman stage. But those moving platforms are extremely slow. Since you have the magnet beam in this route, it allows you to go through that, and it's just a part of the route that makes this much faster. They'll even try to kind of squeeze in some extra little zips here at the end. Cool Kid not quite having the right pixel. Let's see what Team Rush has to say here. That looks good. Might get a little zip here. Nice vertical screen wrap as well.
There it is.
Saving a few seconds. And we'll probably see some corridor zips here as well. Pretty much the way that these zips work is you want to get the magnet beam placed at a particular pixel so that Mega Man's entire sprite fits like neatly between the ceiling and that and the magnet beam. And if you face left, you just go flying at like 16 pixels per frame.
Andy right on Cool Kid's heels now.
Team Auto with the grab. Oh yeah. Team Rush following up.
So we're going into Wily stages, and there's going to be a zip right early on in the stage, which is about a 7 or 8 second time save. So if Cool Kid were to miss this, and then Endy were to get it, he could probably take the lead at this point.
Oh. Still counts.
Bomb is a very frustrating weapon to use.
Yeah, Hyper Bomb is not the most useful of weapons in the series.
Looks like Cool Kid didn't get the zips.
Quite
This
getting
is
the
Endy's chance right here. Can he get it? I think he's a little low.
That's too low.
That was a little low. So they're both going to have to take the long way. This gives the other two teams a little bit of time to catch up. I mean, 8 seconds is definitely a good chunk.
Now, there's still plenty of dangerous rooms and potential time losses, time savers coming up throughout the rest of the Wily stages. It's not an easy game, folks. This bottom screen here with the large spike bed across the bottom and these floating platform guys, on Team Auto doing another vertical screen wrap by grabbing the ladder. It's really scary. These green platforms, they just don't cooperate sometimes. They can move randomly. Sometimes if you're just standing on them, you'll just fall right through and take damage and land on the spikes. And Cool Kid having a little issue with the magnet beam climb. Very low on magnet beams here.
This could be trouble for him. He's going to have to be pretty careful here.
We can already see Endy over here catching up quite a bit to Cool Kid, not messing up those magnet beam jumps.
Yeah, beam is really critical in hanging on. Since you don't get refills throughout the run, or throughout the Wily castles, you have to be very careful. Don't want to waste too many, and routing becomes a little bit different. Ooh.
Oh, Cool Kid getting dangerous there.
Going for the streamline kill.
And Endy.
Endy surviving on 1 HP.
Yeah, really important that these guys don't miss a cycle, because obviously then you have to wait for Yellow Devil to form on the other side of the room. So Really nice job there at saving
Yeah,
it.
it's really like the most well-known application of the select glitch right there, just because Yellow Devil is such a long fight normally if you don't use it. Moving into Wily 2, this is a pretty scary stage. There's a lot of zip potential that can be very scary, and our runners will not be going for the more scary ones because there are some immense soft lock potential in it. Also, if you die, you respawn pretty far back. Refighting Cutman here. Still just using the Buster. There doesn't seem to be any blocks to grab for Gutsman's weapon.
Yeah, since you can keep bosses overlapped with Buster shots, no real reason to use the select glitch.
Team Roll moving on to Wily 2. And
so Andy catching up a little bit because he's not having to get those refills for Magnet Beam.
Dexter taking a death, going back to the beginning of Wily 2. Yeah, Wily 2, I believe there's a checkpoint near the end, but before either Electman or Cutman, it sends you right back to the beginning, and you have to refight those bosses.
And we can't emphasize enough just how difficult these Mega Man games are, so it's completely normal to see some deaths in these races.
So
everything is just so precise.
Using a trick similar to the early Magnet Beam grab, our runners will be jumping out of bounds here just a little bit. It's much safer than the refight skip, but you can see it just bypasses those vertical screens much faster. And Team Rush and Team Auto entering the copy robot very close here. Now that looks like a 3 or 4 second spread between the two. Very nice. This should be interesting. So the use of Flameman's weapon, Fireman's weapon on Copy Robot. I think every weapon does 2 damage against this guy, but this is just it's the easiest to hit him with, and when Copy Robot attacks, you'll always attack with whatever weapon you currently have equipped. It's just the easiest way to deal with it. Just runners are going to want to be careful not to use too much ammo for Wily, for later on for the Wily machine.
Coming up to my favorite part of the run, the dupes.
The dupes.
Oh, yeah.
Moving into Wily 3 here, there's a really, I mean, we say this pretty much every zip, but it's a very critical zip. It skips like half the stage. Having enough Magnet Beam is crucial to pull this off.
And they can set this up with a buffer. Cool Kid electing not to do that.
Cool Kid having a single Magnet Beam left.
That should be just enough for him.
Okay,
And
landing
he's
in the right
there.
position to buffer that last shot.
That was close.
He is out of Magnet Beam now, though, and that's unfortunate for the setup in Wily 4 now. He's going to have to do a slightly different setup than probably most of the other runners.
So looking to get these dupes here, what you need to do is just do a regrab on the last frame as the block is going off the screen. And there's one. Gonna need 2 more. There's another one. He needs 1 more. Got to get this last one. There it is. Cool Kid clutching it out.
Andy is...
3 to spare.
Wow!
Andy Sweet, showing us how duping is done.
Those are frame-perfect inputs.
Yeah, those are frame-perfect inputs. There are 7 of those bubble machines, and there are only 4 of the blocks.
Now, keep in mind, Andy, he has enough Magnet Beam here, so he's not going to be losing any time, but Cool Kid is going to have to come up with something. And he's going to have to skip that first zip, it looks like. Oh, no, he's going to respawn the... So this is Andy's chance.
Good setup.
Nice.
Okay, very close here. Cool Kid getting this last zip pixel here as well. And this is the critical zip of the run, guys. Surprise. But the refight skip.
He's got it.
Nice. There it is. Team Auto is in there. Team Rush is in there. And plenty of dupes for every team, successfully defeating the bubble machine. But so what you saw there on both Team Rush and Team Auto, and coming up on Team Beat and Team Roll, looks like we're taking a intentional game over on Team Beat. No, we're not. Okay. So what we saw there, the refight skip, by placing a few Magnet Beams and having Bomb Man throw at least 2 bombs. If you just mash the start button, you fly towards the top of the screen and just zip past all the bosses. So taking down Wily Machine, not very difficult, but the runners are not going to want to take too much damage, and Team Auto is done. Moving on to Mega Man 2 with Streamline.
Team Rush right behind. 2 excellent times, mid-19 minutes for both of those teams, and they're going to be moving on their players are switching out, and we're going to be ready for Rockman 2 here in just a moment as soon as they get it loaded up.
White Hat's getting some rough luck from
Bomb Man trolling him, but all players executing the refight skip very nicely.
Looks like Team Rush actually took the lead there in that transition, as a matter of fact. So the route here in Rockman 2, these guys are going to go to Flash first. They're looking to get item 3 along with Time Stopper. That'll help them set up a zip in Heat Man, which is the next stage. And then they can get item 1, that's the truly broken item in this game.
Yeah, Flashman stage doesn't really require any items. It doesn't have too much potential for zips to save time. And Flash is weak against Buster. Team Beat finishing up Mega Man 1. Followed by Team Roll.
There it is.
Still only half a stage deviation between first and fourth. I mean, this is still close.
Oh yeah, this is a long relay here. A lot of things could happen. So note that they're playing the Japanese version, and that means that the Buster and the rest of your weapons, for that matter, only deal half as much damage as in the US version. So these guys are going to have to get 14 shots in here on Flashman. This is a really cool looking fight if you can pull it off just right.
Yeah, this is an extremely difficult fight, highly technical. There's very little room for error. The idea is to kill Flashman before he uses Time Stopper.
Oh, Zaraki was one shot off. And
Team Auto take
there it is.
Flashman,
So
catching up
Streamline
1 second at a time.
coming through.
Yeah, this Flash fight is when done correctly, just looks amazing. It's really impressive to see them get all the hits in.
So some pretty long cutscenes in this game, but basically they're getting Time Stopper here. They're getting item 3. That's the one that attaches to the wall and can go up and down. That's going to allow them to get into the ceiling on Heat Man stage. And the way that works is this game, the collision detection is really actually looking for the item as opposed to Mega Man's sprite. So as long as the item isn't going into the ceiling, that's where it would despawn. Mega Man can enter the ceiling, and then you can get ejected at very, very fast speeds, as you're going to see here shortly in Heat Man stage.
Team Beat and Team Roll pulling out a Flashman stage at about the same time.
Shoka clutching it out. One more hit and he would have been dead there. He only has 4 HP. So let's see some item 3 throws here. Nicely done there by Zaraki.
Yeah, it's a very tight throw. You actually have to get pretty far off that single block before you can press B and actually shoot it. So really nicely done.
And here's a demonstration of our first zip by placing the item 3 and standing on it while the item 3 is going up on the ladder, but Mega Man is underneath the ceiling. You can force yourself into the ceiling and just fly across the screen here. Team Auto having a little difficult time setting that up.
Yeah, that item 3 placement is a little tricky, and then it's
Streamline does get the zip.
4-frame window, so Zaraki dealing with these Yoku blocks. He's making sure he doesn't fall in a pit there, and he's going to have to take on Heat Man. Now, it'll be interesting to see what he elects to do here. He can either take damage from this enemy, which it looks like he's going to, or you may see some of our players using the Time Stopper to avoid taking that damage, because Heat Man deals quite a bit of damage, and most of these guys are going to be doing a pretty aggressive strat where they stand near Heat Man to minimize the time in between his attacks. He can delay for a half second, a full second, or a second and a half, and they're going to kind of do these little buffer jumps and make sure that they land right next to him. Zaraki looks like he's going to take it safe, though, actually. I don't blame him at all. Let's see if Streamline is going to take the same approach.
Once again, a huge factor of RNG in this boss fight. Heat Man can dash after 30, 60, or 90 frames, so half to a 1.5 second time frame.
All right, so Streamline did take a hit, so he is going to take it safe from here on out, which is a wise move. One more hit and he would be down. And Zaraki is through.
Team Auto is through as well. And yeah, the Heatman fight is pretty difficult. It takes 14 shots with the Buster to kill him. And yeah, Bubble Lead does do more damage, but we really, really want the item 1. You'll see coming up after Airman stage. But Airman stage coming up next. This is a really difficult stage. Okay, well, the item 1 will help us cross it a little faster, but this is one of the critical moments in Mega Man 2 is crossing the Airman stage pit with item 1.
It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary to do in a marathon run, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. I believe that our players will most likely be electing to take damage, which is a little safer than trying to do these kind of corner jumps, which are very, very dangerous. So first up, Zaraki's going to go ahead and use the time stopper.
Okay. Team Roll and Team Beat finishing Heatman stage within about a second of each other.
All right, here we go. Oh, he's going for the corner jumps. Looks like Zaraki's through. Zaraki feeling pretty confident there and some great execution. And he is through the danger zone right now.
Team Auto made it as well.
Really nice.
So the Airman fight itself is actually pretty difficult because he's got 5 different patterns that he can do. Some of them are favorable, some of them are not, and once again, you're stuck with the Buster, so you got to get 14 shots in. If you can really kind of weave your shots in between his tornadoes, then you can kill him pretty quickly, but if not, then it can take a little longer.
One of my favorite little tricks in Airman stage there by just briefly turning to the left as that PP spawns, that's the name of the bird. It'll spawn from the left side, making the rest of that screen much easier. And here we got Team Roll, Team Beat making it across the dangerous item 1 jump section. Getting the corner jumps. Team Roll is through, Team Beat is through. Everyone made it through Airman stage.
Everybody made it. Wow. That's really good news. So Zaraki getting a good pattern here. He's able to take some intentional damage both times, and he should get a pretty quick kill on Airman. And he does.
Didn't even move.
Nice pattern for Team Auto as well, taking that intentional damage. Oh, missed that last tornado. And they're going to have a little bit of a slower fight. Now keep in mind that Cypher is he's kind of creeping up on these guys. He started out a little far behind, but he can kind of slowly make up time. He's definitely a very strong player in this game, and he has also made it through Airman here. These other players have managed to pick up item 2. And they will be headed to Clashman stage. So, Duckfist, you think anybody's going to be doing anything special here?
I'm not sure. Clash is a notorious stage in this game. It has pretty much the most difficult trick. In this first screen, it is possible to zip out of bounds. I'm not sure if any of our runners are going to go for it. Indeed, Team Rush is going for it. Oh, he's not. Okay.
Nope.
Next screen.
He's
Second
declining.
screen zip. Second screen zip. By zipping out of bounds here.
Streamline, no.
Okay.
It looked like he wanted it.
By zipping out of bounds here, actually, Team Rush is about 5 screens ahead of the current visual position. Team Auto having a little difficulty setting up that
Streamline in a little bit of trouble there. He's going to have to reset that screen so he can get back up there. It's pretty easy to bonk your head when you're trying to set up that second screen zip, but he is through the zip this time. Zaraki advancing nicely through the stage as well.
So what's happening is after this zip, the players are walking out of bounds past the checkpoint and then dropping down a ladder, and on that screen it's actually considered a suicide underneath that screen, and since you're past the checkpoint, you respawn at the checkpoint, it's much faster than climbing through all of the slow-moving platform screens. And here on Cypher and Shoka's screens, we'll see them attempt the Clashman zip as well.
Yeah, these item 3 placements on the ladder are very, very precise, actually. If you place them at wrong sections on the ladder, they won't appear underneath you, so they have to aim as they go up the ladder and make sure that they're going to actually land on it by firing it in the correct position.
And a lot of item 1 being used there to set up that zip for Team Beat. Uh-oh. Luckily, you have plenty of item 1, but he's going to have to take a much slower path in the second half of the stage. So we're coming up to Clashman here. Zaraki, we finally have the boss weaknesses. No need to use Buster anymore, so depending on which pattern he gets, he may only need to fire 2 tornadoes, and there it is. Good pattern.
Yes.
Good execution.
Yeah, it's exactly what we want to see, is that sort of delayed jump almost.
So Streamline is up next. Let's see what kind of pattern he gets. Good pattern as well.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right, so we are entering a very, very scary stage. There is potential for soft lock in this stage. There's going to be a couple zips that are set up. Zaraki wisely choosing to get the one up there. This game is very, very dangerous, and you are taking 2 intentional deaths. So it's better to just kind of have that buffer life. But he's going to set up a first zip here, and we're going to have to see whether he elects to keep the lights on or to turn them off. I know that some of our players have a different feeling about what they want to do here. So Zaraki, let's see what he does. Lights
Keeping
out.
him off. So yeah, you can actually do this entire quick man beam section here without seeing where the platforms are. Don't worry, these guys have practiced this quite a bit.
Yeah.
It is just slightly faster. You can turn the lights on, but you do have to slow down to do it. Team Auto getting a really nice setup there. Streamline doing the zip halfway through stage. Actually, the 3 item ones to get into the ceiling, it's really difficult. It's much different than the other zips. Just take some practice, so I'm glad both of those runners made it no problem.
So you can see Streamline did elect to keep the lights on. It does help toward the end of this stage, where Zaraki is now. He's setting up the final zip. It looks like he's in a good position. He just has to not zip past the door because that will cause a soft lock. So he's got pretty far to go. He's kind of got to wiggle his way over, and he needs to not go past. Okay, he's
Hits
good.
the transition. Soft lock avoided.
And then he's got a really tough fight here. He's got to land 7 shots against Quickman. He's super random. He gets a bad pattern there. He should be okay, though. He's good.
Streamline zipping past the edge of the screen, having to reset. He'll input the password for having defeated Alt through Clashman and restart Quickman stage.
And that is unfortunate. That is going to be a big time loss. That's about 1.5 minutes. So you can see these other players are actually going to be catching up. And Cypher had made up some time there, but he missed that last zip in that final section. So heading into Woodman, Zaraki with a pretty solid lead here, but this stage can be scary as well. He's going to have another choice to make. Is he going to go for the dog scrolls, which are incredibly difficult and can cause a big time loss if you don't do them well, or is he going to break out the time stopper again? He's going dog scrolls. Let's go.
Yeah, it's really important. So, sort of what happened there in Quick with overzipping. It's really important. You don't want to overzip really anywhere typically.
And the important thing is to trigger these screen transitions very carefully.
Yes.
You have a very small window to actually do this.
Nice.
So Zaraki is through. He probably gained a little bit of time.
It is just a couple of seconds faster than using the time stopper in that. And from here on out, it gets a little strange. The rest of the stage is played out of bounds with a bunch of clever zip setups. It looks scary, but trust me, they have it under control. But essentially, they're walking through the rest of the stage, advancing the room number until they pass the boss checkpoint room. And what's nice, by kind of leaving certain screens out of bounds, you don't have to deal with the enemies that would normally be in those screens.
So he's going to reset his position there. Looks like, okay, he's
looks
good now. He's good now. And another intentional death lands him in the boss corridor. All right, and Streamline does get through this time. So he is through Quickman.
And Cypher electing for the time stopper strat to pass through all of the wolves there.
Yeah, Cypher is really taking some very, very consistent strats. That's his approach for this relay.
And Zaraki taking down Woodman with the air shooter, less well-known weakness. Most people would think atomic fire, but on Rock Band 2 or on Mega Man 2 difficult mode, it does take 2 fully charged atomic fire to kill him. Much easier to use air shooter.
And heading into Metal Man, this is a pretty straightforward stage. They're going to set up a fairly long zip at the beginning of the stage, so this would probably be a good time for some donations. Edo Bean?
All right. Actually, you guys are going to be hyped again because we had an anonymous $10,000 donation. Saying I have to donate to my favorite game series, Mega Man and Punch-Out. And donation goes towards the Punch-Out incentive, but I'll put another $5,000 if Cool Kid goes for the Wily 2 skips. Great cause and great people. We have a $50 donation from Dirks McGregor that says, the missus and our 2 kids are excited to watch this awesome Mega Man relay. Go faster. We have a $50 donation from Ken McDowell that says, Mega Man Relay Race and Zallard playing 2 Punch-Out games at once? Yes, please. And then Barty Studa donates $30 saying, keep up the excellent event. This Mega Man Relay is true hype. All right, take it away.
All right, so with Metal Man, they want to kind of just keep him trapped on the right side of the screen, and they're going to do that by not advancing past the halfway point. Unfortunately, Zaraki went a little too far, and that's when Metal Man starts doing his jumping pattern. Let's see how it goes for Streamline, if he can manage to keep him there. Yeah, he's got him locked down. Nice. To note, Streamline does do a different route, so he didn't just catch up an entire stage. He's still got to do wood after this. It's kind of a pick-em whether you want to do wood or metal in this particular route.
Yeah, metal is a really straightforward stage. These zips are really fun, and we are using item 2 to cross the end of the stage there. Pretty much, we got all 3 items at the beginning of the route, and using item 2 as much as we can, just because it moves a little faster than Mega Man's running speed. Here we are riding item 2 across the first screen of Bubble Man. Bubble Man is the final Robot Master stage here. Gonna have to deal with a lot of water physics coming up. The runners are taking a slightly safer variation of this stage just to make it more consistent.
Yeah, they're going to be setting up the item 1 zip here, but that item 2 zip at the end of the stage. It doesn't save a whole lot of time. Looks really cool, but honestly, this is the main zip that you need to go for. And looks like Zaraki is in a good position to get it. And
there it is.
He's got it. He A-triggers there. You can B-trigger it, but if you B-trigger it too early, you'll run into the spikes, so you got to be careful. Now, Bubble Man himself has 3 different patterns. He can give you the 1 bubble, the 2 bubble, or the 3 bubble. The more bubbles you get on screen, the more lag there is, so you got to kind of just hope for that 1 bubble pattern. Let's see what happens for Zaraki. Cypher is he's making his way back into this thing, man. Ooh, he does miss that A-trigger zip though. Commentator's curse. Sorry, Cypher.
And Streamline successfully doing the wood zip as well. Bubble Man down. 8 Robot Masters down for Team Rush.
Yeah. All right, so this is where the game gets really scary. These Wily stages are not easy.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing, again, just like the last game and the next game, item management is going to become very important for the zips. We want to make sure that we don't run out. So setting everything up and not wasting items is going to be really important.
Yeah, the item 1 usage is especially critical just because of its zip potential. And since your weapon energy does persist throughout the Wilies, the players are really going to want to maximize the use of item 1 and make sure that they don't accidentally waste any. Team roll with this 3 bubble pattern, but making it out of the 8 Robot Master stages. Shoka just behind them. Moving into Wily 1.
Zaraki is going to try to despawn the egg from that bird, but keep the bird on screen because it's going to despawn one of these toothpaste enemies up here and allow him to pass through this section without getting hit. And then he's going to have to set up the first of 2 vertical zips in this stage. The setup's kind of tricky. It takes 3 item 1s to get yourself in the ceiling correctly.
This is a really scary section of the run.
I think it's just barely good. He should be okay. Yeah, he's good.
I want to make sure we don't accidentally zip out of bounds here. Looks like good placement. And coming up to, I call them the nightmare jumps. You can pretty much only cross this section with item 1s. But it takes so many item 1s to get up here. If you fall, you lose them.
And he looks good, but he doesn't. Okay,
he's on position.
The alternate.
Getting the vertical zip.
Strat.
He's through. Team Rush.
You know, Zaraki is just really had very consistent play throughout this run. It's been impressive.
All runners finished.
And Cypher setting up another fast vertical zip here. Okay, didn't quite. Got out of there successfully.
Oh,
and the dragon!
That is a huge death. He is going to get sent way far back. He's going to have to pick up some extra item 1.
And just like that, Team Roll takes the lead.
Cypher, slow and steady, man. He's using those consistent strats. Hopefully he doesn't kiss the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon takes 28 shots with the quick boomerang to defeat. And if you touch the dragon, it is an instant kill. And there is enough stuff going on the screen that it causes a little bit of lag, and you get knocked back further if you get hit. So you pretty much cannot get hit while busting out those 28 shots to defeat the dragon.
And looks like Cypher's in good shape here. He's mashing him down.
Beautiful.
Dragon down. So I asked Cypher before the relay, are you going to revert to those really risky strats if your team's way behind? He's like, nope, I'm sticking with the consistent stuff, and it's really paid off for him here. As you can see, he is in the lead at this point going into Wily 2.
Streamline on Team Auto with an extremely fast vertical zip setup. Finding it inside the ceiling. Unfortunately, going to have to take a death and restart Wily 1. But
Streamline is going to have
team beat.
Streamline's going to have to take an intentional death. Cypher, meanwhile, setting up this zip here. Is he going to A-trigger or B-trigger this? Ooh. Oh, he A-triggered it, and it didn't work, so he's going to take a death there, but he's still okay because he did get a 1-up.
Cypher's going to have to probably grab an extra weapon energy.
I think he already grabbed the weapon energy, so he should be good here. So the difference between A-triggering and B-triggering these zips, if you A-trigger it, you have a 4-frame window, which is fairly generous, but the B-trigger is like a 15-frame window. So you'll never see anybody miss that. And our race just got a lot closer.
A Team Roll and Team Rush successfully executing the vertical zip. Team Beat in good position. Makes it as well. Yeah, since we used our item 2 on the first stage, we're all out, and, well, you can actually use the item 1 to zip past that long spike section.
And Cypher with a really nice hallway there, avoiding all the drops.
Yeah, we want to avoid getting bonked by the moles as well as trying to hope you get lucky and not get a whole bunch of drops in your way.
So Cypher will be the first one coming to the boss, Pico Pico Kun. There's not any randomness to this boss. It's a kind of a
Streamline taking out the dragon.
And since all 3 of our runners are kind of getting to this slightly slow section, Wily 3 is not the most interesting stage. I think we're going to kick it back over to Edo Bean for some donations.
All right, we have a $5,000 donation from the Yeti. Saying, donating for this amazing Mega Man race. Shout outs to all the teams. Great job. We also have a $300 donation from Mr. X. I'm not sure why everyone is so angry at this Wily fellow. He seems completely trustworthy to me. Put this towards the last team's choice. We also have a $30 donation from Lightning saying, glad to see the most hype event of the marathon. Good luck to all the runners. The Classic Mega community is one of the best out there. If you like what you see, get yourself speedrunning Classic Mega. All right, you guys can go ahead and take it away.
All right, so Wily 3, not a whole lot going on here. This is kind of the calm before the storm. Wily 4 is, without question, the most dangerous stage in this game, so it's nice to kind of have a little respite, you know, get yourself prepared, get yourself ready. Here you're just kind of avoiding the spikes, and these guys will hopefully be getting as few jumps as possible when they go up against the Guts tank.
Yeah, it'll take 14 shots to defeat the Guts tank, and its hitbox is really high up at the top of its head, and it's...
Oh, no.
Taking a slight death
and
there.
And that is a game over. The one small silver lining there is you do get all your ammo back. So there's not going to be any ammo issues in the stages going forward for Team Rush. All right, so Guts tank. How many jumps are we going to do here? Let's see if we can get the 3 jump. Nice 3 jump from Cypher.
Yeah, 3 jump pretty standard what most people want to get in this fight. 2 is possible, but very difficult. So 3 is what we're typically looking for.
All right, Wily 4, this is it. Purple Hell, they call it, and for good reason. There's so much going on in this stage. There's a lot of zips. There's some item 3 drops. You got to crash the door. The boss fight's crazy. It's all going down. So let's see. Cypher's up first. He's going to try to get this little Met zip here. Gets it. Nice item 3 drop. Another item 3 drop. Can he get the final one? Yeah, he's in good shape.
This is kind of like a revisiting Clash Man stage again with all these item 3 jumps. Little vertical zip here to skip this spike section with the false floor, executing it very nicely. Wily 3 down for Team Rush.
And nice hallway zip there by Cypher. So now there's these spike rooms. You got to be careful. I've seen players get a little too aggressive in them sometimes, but Cypher looks to be okay there. And meanwhile, we have Team Beat now, not too far behind. Cypher's through the second room, so he's going to take some intentional damage here and use his iframe so that he can get through this room pretty quickly. And he's good. He's good.
Attention to Shoka's screen.
And Shoka doing the Shoka dance.
Shoka Shoka.
Final zip here by Cypher. You cannot overzip this door. And he's in. All right, nice exit. Now he's going to try to set up what's called a damage transfer. So he's going to take damage on a very specific spot. And that's going to set up some memory values that allow him to just run right into this View Beam over here and just take it out. And so he's done with the boss fight.
That was excellent.
Very nice.
Yeah, just the combination of like properly setting up the zip to get into the boss room, exiting the zip, setting up the damage transfer. It's all extremely precise. A lot of tricky stuff just packed together. And
okay.
we have Team Beat moving into the boss room as well. Looks like a good entry.
Good entry. Pay attention to Cypher. He's going to take a different route in the refights than everybody else. He's going to fight Airman first, and if he gets a really good pattern, he can get a one-cycle Airman, which is crazy impressive. He did not get it, unfortunately, so he'll have to fight him kind of the normal-ish way there. Nice recovery, though. 2-round is great. And Team Beat is through Wily 4 onto refights, and Team Rush right behind. So not the best luck from Heatman there for Cypher, but he's okay. He's going to go ahead and take that health here. So with him, he's got to take some of the damage fights later on. Like Quickman can usually deal a lot of damage to you, and sometimes Woodman if you don't get a great fight.
Zaraki not quite getting that double with the crash bomb, which means
that's he's going for the backup, and he does get
a very nice backup. So he does have one crash bomb.
That's really important. You do need the crash bombs for the Wily machine at the end of refights. If you're out of crash bombs, that really slows the fight down. But ideally, you have 2, and you can make a super fast fight.
Streamline on Team Auto also with a great Wily 4 zip there and entering the boss room.
Cypher having pretty decent refights here. He's got enough health. Really nice bubble.
Excellent bubble refight.
All right, and then there's the old high metal, bi metal. All right, Flashman is also a piece of cake.
And moving into a Wily machine here, Cypher did manage to get out of Wily 4 with both of his crash bombs, and on difficult mode, this is the ideal way to defeat the boss. Gonna throw in a few metal blades, switch to Clash, and it's kind of a precise shot. Gets the first one. Looks good.
Nice job.
Machine down.
Yeah, you don't actually want to hit Machine's hitbox with that. You want to hit just below it so that the explosions deal all the damage as Machine sort of floats back into it. So really nicely done.
One final zip here for Cypher. He's just got to get it lined up in the ceiling, but this is another one of those situations where you cannot overzip the door. So he's got to be careful. Looks good. And he's in.
Excellent wiggles to the door.
All right, Cypher's got to close this out, though. Do not hug the alien, no matter what you do. That thing will take like 80% of your health. He's got to get in quite a few shots here. He's off to a pretty good start. He's got some furious mashing going on there. Nice kill.
Team roll, moving on to Mega Man 3.
And team roll, Prizzy is going to be coming through.
Shoka got in trouble there a little bit. His crash bomb was a little low, and unfortunately didn't have the health, so he's going to have to now go into this fight again with no crash bombs.
Yeah, Wily Machine and its projectiles do a lot of damage. And the second form is almost impossible to dodge.
Yeah, here we go. Prissy's into Mega Man 3 for Team Roll. And we're going to see a very, very dangerous route. It's the fastest route in the game, top first, but incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, this is a route that has changed quite a few times. It's been Magnet first, it's been Gemini first, it's been top first.
And coincidentally enough, top first was the original route, or one of the earliest routes.
Yeah, we've come full circle here.
Yeah, we have full circle, yeah, for sure. So these cats have 10 HP. It's really important that they can try to get as many of the shots at the peak of their jump, because he's pretty high up there.
You'll want to pay attention to Prizzy's mashing. It's maybe a little bit off camera there, but he actually mashes with his teeth, believe it or not. And it works.
So yeah, we're trying to kill these cats in about 3 jumps if possible. Like I said, they have a lot of health, so it's a little bit difficult.
And something to note, the other 3 teams are all really close. All of them getting the Wily 6-zip perfectly, entering the alien fight just within about 10 or 15 seconds of each other. While Team Roll here, with Prissy finishing up top man stage.
So to note,
Fast is in, and Fatso is in, and Casio.
And Team on it.
Prissy's got to be feeling good about his lead right now, and these other 3 runners, though, all right together right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This game, like I said, this route is very dangerous, and we're going to see that here very shortly on Prissy's screen coming into the Shadow Man stage. With the other 2 routes, the reason why they were done was because you got to have Magnet Missile for Shadow Man stage, and that made the last room of the stage very, very easy, taking care of the Paracus. But however, with this route, you don't have that. You only have top spin, and so it's a very, very scary room because as you'd make the jumps and kill the parachutes across, top spin will also knock you backward. So it makes the jumps even more scary because you have to actually jump further than you think you do.
So here on the Proto Man fight, this is just one of the notorious parts about Mega Man 3. Proto Man takes 28 shots in this instance to defeat and has no iframe, so you just need to mash and jump for your life.
Yeah, beautiful right wall kill there. Moving into this dark room. Obviously, the runners have done this so many times, they know where the floors are. Not really that scary of a room because there's no spikes or anything. However, this game is heavily determined with, to get a good time in this game, it's heavily determined by movement. You notice now we have the slide, and that slide, will it takes about 1/3 of a second for a slide to complete. And here he proceeds into this section now I was talking about with these Paracus, taking it a little bit careful. He knows he's got the lead, no reason to take a death.
Oh!
Scary. Gets bombed there, but he's good.
All right, Prizzy's got to be feeling pretty good getting through that room.
But the slide is a huge factor in this game. Since you have to slide manually, obviously yourself, there's a little bit of human error involved with every single press. And so even dropping a single frame between every slide adds up to be a lot of time lost. So these runners want to be as fast as possible at slide chaining as they go through a lot of these rooms.
And this is definitely anybody's race at this point. As you mentioned, the movement is what's key here. I mean, just being able to optimize that sliding. But I think really at this point, there's nothing broken that these guys can do anymore. I mean, there's going to be one small zip in Gemini, but overall, it's not like there's like these huge zips or anything crazy. It's like they just have to execute flat out.
Yeah, like you mentioned, there is going to be a very small zip coming up. But a bigger thing coming up is the another sort of little visit here from Proto Man.
Yeah, at the beginning of this Gemini Man stage, we get to see some of the just intense movement and execution that Joni was talking about. Mega Man 3, I feel, is characterized by a lot of these just long screens that are packed with enemies, and several of the enemies have a lot of HP, so it's much different than Mega Man 1 and 2 and how it's kind of designed. And by sliding into this screen transition where Proto Man normally is and jumping out of the slide, you don't actually get to see that cutscene, and furthermore, the music actually doesn't change back to the stage song.
Nice.
Getting the nice zip there.
Probably the only zip you're going to see in this run, but it does save 2 seconds, so.
Yeah, so now you notice there's no music, and yeah, that actually saves quite a bit of time because the music actually adds to the lag. So by despawning it, yeah, we won't have too many issues, especially in this last room here. This is the most notorious room of Gemini. There's a lot of little single blocks, and we want to try, obviously, to slide on as many as possible. And something about the slide in this game is you can't jump out of it for 8 frames, so about 1/6 of a second. And so these single blocks are very scary because you want to land on the far left side as possible. And you see Prissy actually taking it a little bit carefully there since some of his landings were a little bit scary. So really nicely done to get through that room.
Yeah, great job. That's another one of those terrifying rooms. And you know, once you get through the first 3 stages of Rockman 3, you kind of get a little bit of a relief, a little bit of a break. So he's got to be pretty happy with his execution so far. But fast at CC, he's keeping pace.
Prissy's got to be a little bit careful. Ooh, okay.
Oh.
Prissy was on 6 health there, so getting hit by a Gemini would have killed him. So very scary as he was barreling down on him.
The lead increases for Team Roll.
Yeah, now that he's out of Gemini, he's got to be breathing a sigh of relief. We're heading now to go get Needle and Jet, which are going to be very helpful in skipping like the yoke blocks in Magnet stage as well. It's also a really short stage. It's really sort of strange how short this stage really is, actually. So
they call this one Friedel.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So Cassio on Team Auto having to watch that little cutscene there. Now, the time loss is one thing, but now the game's going to be a little bit laggier than it would be without the music, so we'll have to compensate that for all the really tight one-tile-wide slide jumps in the second half here.
Yeah, because even though you can, like I said, yeah, we can jump out of a slide after 8 frames, but the lag will add to that, so it might end up being, 11 frames if you get 3 lag frames in there as well. So.
And you need to memorize like specific timings for the slide jumps on every little block on that screen.
Yeah. He does have a backup option here, though. Since they've already defeated Shadow Man, he has Rush Marine, which he could also use if he wants to here. And he's doing it. There it is.
Fasta with a beautiful, beautiful section.
Yeah. Fasta crushing that room also, just really nicely done. Again, trying to kill some of the enemies with Shadow Blade just to reduce some of that lag. Again, here we go, jumping Rush Marine. Oh. For the fans, for the fans. And he's through.
Meanwhile, Prissy having a really good needle fight, so he is just keeping the pace here.
Fatso also in this single block room. Yeah, we didn't really mention it because we were watching. We were watching all these Gemini stages. We didn't really mention it, but it's really important since we fight Needleman with the laser. A Gemini laser is a very, very bad weapon to miss with, and thankfully Prissy had a good fight.
So yeah, after defeating a Needleman stage, which was the 4th Robot Master, you get awarded the Rush Jet. And,
looks like he's good.
Okay.
All right, he's good, he's good. That room makes you hold your breath every single time.
So yeah, we're into Snake. There's a lot of jet usage here in Snake now. For example, you saw it a little bit earlier, and you're going to see it again here coming up, that they can skip the mini-bosses by just flying right over top of them. So Prissy has already done one of those. He's coming up to another. Meanwhile, we'll actually get to talk maybe a little bit when Fast is coming up to his Needleman fight here very shortly, sort of about how laggy the Gemini laser can really be if you miss. Hopefully, we don't see any of the runners have that happen.
Yeah, definitely that one and Snake Man's weapon. Both can get really laggy.
Yeah, it's weird because Gemini's weapon is actually made up of 3 separate sprites, which is why it's so tasking on the console. Here we go. Good fight. Best pattern, too.
Nice.
So checking out Prissy on Team Roll here, jumping multiple times kind of on Rush, you can prevent the weapon energy from reducing, allowing you to just ride Rush much further. Also, something to note, this is the first appearance of Rush Jet, or Rush in general. Rush Jet is extremely versatile in Mega Man 3, especially compared to the later Mega Man games. You have like free movement in all directions. It's a really great addition.
Prissy getting the best pattern from Snake. He gets away from him a bit, but really nice job. Something we haven't mentioned yet, but a lot of these boss fights are routed in a way to try to kill the bosses as close to the center as possible. Sometimes it's not always possible, but we always try to. And the other thing is, just like Mega Man X that you saw earlier in the week, once you kill the boss, you cannot move. Mega Man will just walk to get the weapon, get animation there after the fanfare ends. So you kind of have to just be as close to the center as well, so that you're limiting some of that downtime.
Yeah, Mega Man 3 is in a way like the most demanding in that respect. It requires both Mega Man and defeating the boss to be done in the center of the screen. But here we are moving into Magnet Man stage on Prissy's screen. Starting off with another Proto Man fight. Again, take a look at that camera to see his wonderful mashing technique.
Another
28 shots, ladies and gentlemen. That was such a fast kill.
That's very hard to do, yeah. Killing him before he turns around and faces left and starts going the other way is really hard to do, so really impressive he's done it again. Again, you're going to see, oh, he gets the dunk! That's actually a very precise.
Swag.
Very precise jump there and squeezes into that single tile gap. But this is the big reason, again, why Top first and Gemini first have an advantage over Magnet first. You get Jet for this room, and you don't have to play any of these Yoku puzzles. You just fly right over top. It is still faster to lose Rush there, though, because you can get a couple slides in. So that's why they do the last couple there.
So Team Roll just really, really consistent so far throughout this relay. Maintaining the lead. These other teams are definitely keeping pace with each other, but they're going to have to do something special to catch up to Team Roll at this point.
Yeah, solid play. You know, now that all the runners are out of Gemini, they got to be breathing.
Oh! Wow!
Casio on Team Auto.
Casio is going for it all. That probably saves about a second total or something like that going for those
you
pumps.
save a decent amount of time, actually. By canceling Rush early, you can get some of those single block slides, and it's very difficult to get underneath that couple of those cloud bullets. And wow, that's something that I was not expecting to see, so very impressive.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Not a race-friendly strat there.
And moving into Hardman stage, yet to be quite honest, these last 4 Robot Masters, the order can be switched up just a little bit. We really just wanted to get Rush Jet and Magnet and Shadow Blade.
Fatso nailed it also.
Oh, okay. We got some single block slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a whole lot of danger in this stage, Hardman. There's, not really pits or spikes or any of that kind of stuff. The boss fight is fairly straightforward. You are going to be taking some damage though, so you just need to make sure you maintain over 12 HP throughout the course of the stage, and you're usually good to go.
You do have this kind of getting knocked back down there. You do have this kind of awkward Proto Man fight in this stage as well, with an arena that kind of has some strange terrain. It can be difficult to take them out, but the runners will probably be switching to Magnet Missile to be kind of complementing the damage on that fight here.
Yeah, there's a lot of really annoying enemies in Hardman stage. The monkeys, they have a lot of HP. These Met Dozers, their hitboxes are really strange in that the one kind of floats in front of the one that you can damage kind of like gets blocked a bit, and sometimes you can shoot it right in the head and still not get a hit in. So Fasta had a really nice fight there on Magnet, got a good pattern and was able to get a nice center kill. It's actually not, typically normal, I think, to see people fight Magnet with Shadow Blade, but it is a secondary weakness that also does the same amount of damage as Spark Shot. So it's a more ideal weapon to fight him with, just because you can throw Shadow Blade upward as well in case Magnet gives you a jump. So we're going to see that damage boost. Very
excellent
nice.
Hardman fight by Prissy on Team Roll there. Hardman does kind of stun you when he hits the ground, but if you take damage at the right time, you can continue to deal damage to him. And yeah, that was just an excellent fight. Didn't miss any shots.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of damage, like Sinister alluded to earlier about how you want to have more than 12 health. It's because he does 6 damage with his body, and you need to take 2 hits. One so you can be inside of his hitbox, and the second one to get you hit out of the stun. So it's kind of a scary fight if you're second guessing your health and you're coming into the room. Bristy's already into Spark now. This is his last Robot Master of the 8.
This is a really straightforward stage, just a couple of well-timed slide jumps and reducing lag. You want to get rid of most of these enemies like almost as soon as they appear, which is kind of a common theme in this game, to be quite honest. And the use of the magnet missile here is just such a powerful weapon. It's once you've gotten it, you want to switch it as much as possible just to take down some of the trash enemies around here.
Ooh, going up for that Met Dozer kill again. Magnet, you actually, if you kill everything in your path, you actually don't have enough magnet to do this stage. But now they actually changed it up where they're starting to switch to Shadow and killing more than one of these junk blocks that you're about to see him kill a couple. And so they actually switched to Shadow earlier than normal. It's a little bit newer strat. And then they're already on the weapon that they need for the Sparkman fight, so it's perfect. Into this last elevator room, it's actually very consistent. There's only a couple single block slides there, but Christie's through, very easy.
Oh, an excellent Proto Man kill on Cassio's screen there.
Christie gets the best pattern too.
So Prizzy will be our first player heading into the Doc Robot stages, where they're actually going to refight the bosses we just saw in Mega Man 2. I believe all of our players are going to be taking the same route here. You don't at this point you have all your weapons, so the routing doesn't really matter. But I believe they're going to go Gemini first here. Gemini being probably the hardest of the Doc Robot stages, so it's kind of just like just get it out of the way so you can feel a little bit more comfortable as you progress through the rest of them.
Yeah, the Doc Robot stages are kind of like the unique touch on Rockman 3. From here on out in the series, there's a few extra stages kind of in between the Robot Master stages and the Wily stages, and it's pretty interesting. So you could sort of replay 4 of the previous levels just with a slight variation on it, using most of the same enemies, and with a special visit from our Rockman 2 bosses being placed inside the Doc Robot machines. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, and a really nice first screen there for Prissy. Those magnet missiles, that room looks really good when you fire them in the right spots, and the missiles just do all the work for you.
And he's going to be coming up to the first boss here. He's going to be fighting Flashman. This is actually one of the few reasons that they are playing on the Rockman version. The Flashman fight is just a little bit faster. As you'll see, his flash is very quick, and I believe he can even get a flashless fight. Is that right, Shelmy?
Yeah, if you can get your movement really good and jump over him. Oh, he doesn't get the first hit in, but he does get the jump over top, and gets a nice center kill. So pretty nice fight there.
Yeah, one of the few actual gameplay differences to note between Rockman 3 and Mega Man 3 in that Flashman fight. His time stopper only stops you for just a very small amount of time in the Rockman 3 version, and it's a little...
Ooh. And Prizzy taking a death, but he's got enough of a buffer that he's still got a fairly solid lead. I mean, Fast at CC, he's kind of been separating himself from the other players there, and he's going to be heading into his first Doc Robot stage now. So things are getting interesting.
Yeah, so what happened there basically is if you try to slide again before your previous slide has finished, you actually jump in this game. And so unfortunately, Prissy tried to chain a slide a little bit too close together and accidentally jumped, and then his iframes wore off. So something in that room that can be very, very scary is mistiming a slide, but nailed it the second time, so really nicely done.
Nice job there, and he'll be taking on Bubble Man this time. So just like when we saw before, you can get either the 1, 2, or 3 bubble pattern. You're hoping for 1 bubble. Reduce that lag. Looks like a 2 bubble. Not bad.
Very nice.
Yeah, these dock robots are pretty much identical to their Mega Man 2 counterparts, with some small exceptions of the larger hitbox, and a couple of them do slightly different contact damage. But besides that, their AIs are almost identical.
All right, so let's see if Prissy gets a trick here.
Yo.
All right, he nailed it.
Yeah, there it is.
The music despawned.
So yeah, so again, we're despawning the music, but this time we're doing it in a slightly different and probably to most people more scary way. Basically what we're doing is we're dying on the exact same frame that we transition the screen. But the game doesn't really register that you've died because you're transitioning, but it still plays the death sound, and that actually stops the music. And again, this is a decent time save, again, despawning the music, about a 2.5 second time save. So really important. The setup is very consistent. The one that Prissy used there looked like the Ohan setup, so really nicely done.
And Facet CC approaching the end of the stage here. It's a little short on health, but it hopefully won't matter.
Yeah, Bubble does only do 2 damage with a bullet. Yeah, he's just the Lexington tank. That's probably
play
a
it safe.
good idea.
I don't blame him at all. Meanwhile, Prissy mashing with those teeth. Nice kill there.
Nice fight there. Yeah, a big theme of this game becomes damage boosting becomes a very, very helpful thing for a lot of the fights. So Prissy's in the same sort of room that we saw in Shadow earlier, except this one has a few more enemies. We were hoping for a couple magnet drops there. He only got 1, it looks like, so... Okay, watch this cool little thing.
Oh.
little sprite glitch there, it looks pretty cool. So again, yeah, Heatman again with the 30, 60, 90 patterns. Something that's neat though, Prissy didn't get it there. Oh, and unfortunately he didn't get it. You can get a double hit on Heatman, and I'm sure we're gonna see it from, for sure, one of the runners. But if you hit Heatman on the frame he comes out of his charge, he won't go back into it another charge. It won't register that you were hitting him, and so you can hit him a second time again once his iframes drop, getting a double hit. So. Thankfully, though, even though Prissy did not get the double hit, he got a very, very decent pattern from Heat, some shorter charge cycles.
So moving into Dock Needle, I find this stage pretty interesting, and for the most part, all of the Dock Robot stages. Since we have all of the Robot Master weapons, these stages can kind of be designed to use those weapons, particularly the Rush Coil, Rush Jet particularly, and in this in Dock Needle, there's this long Rush Jet section that I find pretty interesting, just to cross the entire pit. If they make any mistakes, though, they do have to come back, and that will waste quite a bit of time.
So first up, we're gonna have Airman here. He's got those save 5 patterns, but this time you have a slide. So if you get one of the bad patterns in Mega Man 2, it's actually a good pattern here, and that is the one he gets. So he can slide under those tornadoes and
it's just not fair.
Just mash him out.
Ooh,
nice,
really
fight.
nice. So this parachute section that Prissy's coming into now, again, flying on Jet, you want to kind of jump off again, sort of like Duckfist mentioned earlier, despawning your sprite off the top of the screen, which is great, but you see these dragonflies, if you're off the top of the screen, they try to go to the very bottom, and then they try to track you and then come back. But if you can make them go low enough, you can actually despawn them off the side of the screen, and Prissy's nailing these despawns, getting a lot of them. And again, reducing enemies on the screen reduces the lag, so I don't think he missed a single one there. That was really good.
Yeah, furthermore, nice. It's possible to actually hit enemies on the bottom of the screen by jumping too high off the top at the wrong time, and that can be quite annoying, but no issues here.
To note, Facet CC did have a pretty good heat fight, so he's gaining a little bit of ground there.
And this is one of the few times you're going to actually see, well, the only time really you're going to see Hard Knuckle really used outside of the top man refight. And you kind of, because Hard Knuckle is a really slow weapon, you kind of just want to like shoot it above Crash, and then he'll just jump into it. Crash Man moves a lot faster than the Hard Knuckle, so you might as well utilize his speed to your advantage. Ooh, getting away from him a little bit there, but still good.
Fast at CC not getting a very good pattern from the airman refight there, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Prissy's heading to his last dock stage. This stage, I know, gave a lot of people problems just because Quickman is at the end. And like Duckfist mentioned, he's one of those bosses that deals a lot more contact damage in this game versus Mega Man 2. He does 8 damage with his body. So since they usually get there without full health... oh, blocks, please. Since they do get there without full health, that fight can be pretty scary. However, the boomerangs still don't deal very much, so they want to try to take damage off those instead.
Yeah, plus the combination of the much larger hitbox. It could be quite nasty. Quickman Dock Robot is by far the scariest Dock Robot.
So again, metal is kind of nice that magnets track him, so the only real randomness to that fight is sort of based on his height jumps. Prissy, it looked like he might have actually tried to go for another audio despawn there. Unfortunately, didn't get it. That one's a lot scarier because if you do die trying to get that one before hitting the transition, you have not hit the checkpoint yet, and you'll have to redo the entire beginning of the stage and fight Metal Man again. So
not worth.
Yeah, in a race, it's not really what you want. But again, if you can get it, it saves a little over a second. So.
All right, so it's time for the snakes.
Yeah, so you can fight him with Gemini or Snake. Most people just go with Snake because it's easier to control. Because if you miss with Gemini, all havoc can break loose. Ooh, taking a body hit early.
Yeah, those body hits deal about 8 damage, which looks like is about what Prissy has left. Now. So he's got to be careful. He cannot afford to take another hit.
Purposely getting hit by the boomerang. Makes it through. Team Roll is our first team onto the Wily stages.
Yeah, doing a really nice job making sure he hits the boomerangs.
So one more Breakman fight before the Wily stages. This would be a good time for some more donations. Edo Bean, if you've got them.
And boy, do we. We have a $1,000 donation from Mr. Cab68. Saying good luck to the runners. Let's go, Team Roll. We have a $751 donation from Anay Patel, who says, mad shout outs to all the runners. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and all the skills I've seen this week put mine to shame. You guys provide a lot of hope and joy to many people. Sinister One, when are you gonna run? We also got a $50 donation from the B1G Nasty that says, Mega Man 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and that title theme hits me in the nostalgia every time. I had to donate during this relay. We also have a $35 donation from Matthew that says, Super Fighting Robot, Mega Man.
Prissy gets a really nice slide across the spikes there. You want to take damage off the little penguins so that you can get the double slide, and really nicely done there.
So this boss has a lot of RNG. If Prissy gets a bad pattern, he can lose up to 13 seconds versus the fastest possible pattern. You're going to want to notice which way the turtle is moving, or sorry, the Kamigawa Maker is moving. Right is good, left is bad.
Yeah, the turtles will always come out of the Maker in the same pattern. They'll go left, right, left, right, but the Maker will go left or right, and we want to see right movements like that right there. And that's a really good turtle. That's the best one.
Right.
It's sort of
like about an average pattern.
Yeah, mediocre luck.
Mediocre.
And in the meantime, both Team Rush and Team Auto moving onto the Wily stages. Colonel Fatso on Team Beat finishing up the Dock Robots as well here.
So Wily 2 is a kind of interesting stage because this is the only stage, I mean, unless you count Wily 5 and 6, but this is the only stage that doesn't actually have a checkpoint. So if they die to the Yellow Devil in some form, they will have to do the entire stage again. This fight has a quick kill. The idea is to try to take damage boosts in a very specific position so that you are right underneath the eye and you can jump straight up and just mash Shadow Blades straight up into his eyeball. It takes 10 Shadow Blades to kill him. Missing it in one cycle costs you 18 seconds, so it's really critical to try to get that.
Easy Devil. Let's see it. Or is he kind of getting some practice mashes in there?
Nice first jump. Beautiful.
Easy.
Easy.
Every time.
Ooh. So we're into Wily 3. This stage, again, pretty straightforward. I have a feeling we're going to see something pretty special here coming up, though, in the moving block rooms right after the checkpoint. So watch Prissy's screen when he gets to those ones, and you're going to see maybe something pretty unique right in the next room. Oh! So there's a way that you can do a wiggle zip and make it about a half second faster, but incredibly dangerous. He got the zip that obviously it doesn't kill you, but you don't really save any time with it. Awesome job. He also did something to the boss that I didn't mention yet. So this game typically doesn't allow you to pause when you have a weapon on screen. However, for whatever reason, it doesn't check for your rush shots and for any weapon that you have with rush. So when you shoot a rush bullet and then switch to a different weapon, that bullet will take on the properties of that other weapon. Fast and nailing easy also, really nice job. So basically what happened is he switched to topspin, which is the weakness for the hologram robot. And since topspin has a piercing type property, it hit him every single frame that the bullet was inside and just basically insta-kills him. It's a really fast kill.
Frizzy on into the refight, so slight variation here. You're going to want to end the fight on the left-hand side of the screen near the teleporter there, as you just saw he did. So the strategies are actually a little bit different because of that, and there's also a few opportunities to use different weapons than when you were doing the 8 robots initially.
Cassio crushes easy also. We'll see if Fatso goes for this zip as well. I know we talked about it. No, he's just going to not.
Easy! All 4 teams with the Yellow Devil quick kill.
So Fatso had a kind of scary fight there because you want to try to get more than 5 hits on the first jump. You have the most amount of time in the first jump to get as many hits as possible. The second jump, you have less time. So only getting 5 hits on that first jump was really scary.
And our first appearance of the Nadua laser on Team Roll.
Yeah, showing why you don't want to miss a shot. Yeah, that laser just will bounce around forever until it finally will go off screen. It feels like forever anyway. Nice fight there on Needle.
Fast at CC making his way into the refights.
Ooh. So Prissy's health is a little too low. He can't take a hit from Magnet to take him out of that pattern, so he's got to wait out the shield. Best friend. So Prissy's through refights. 2 stages to go.
Now coming up here on Wily Machine 3, this is kind of an interesting fight. Using the Search Snake, since there's so much lag caused by some projectiles and sprites in this game, we're gonna see Prissy throw at least 1 Search Snake here and jump and use that lag to actually mash out as many shots as possible on the top form here.
You just got to, yeah. Ooh, we jumped a little early, unfortunately. So he's going to have to finish it off with Shadow Blade, but nice fight. So the next stage is the final stage. So time will be coming up for Team Roll in about 30 to 40 seconds here. Not much to say really about this fight other than first phase, Shadow Blade, second phase, either top spin or snake, depending on what the runner wants to do. It's faster to do a snake kill because it's a faster menu, but you have to mash snakes, whereas top spin, it'll basically one-shot them similar to the hologram robot. But get ready on time for Team Roll. Time.
Oh!
And Prizzy finishing it off in style for Team Roll there, mashing it out with the snakes.
Oh, Fasta on Team Rush, getting the fast Wily Machine 3 kill.
So yeah, we're looking, great job there by Team Roll. Wow, what an impressive finish.
Really consistent play just across all 3 games. Very solid performance.
Fasta coming into his final fight here with Gamma. So again, time will be coming up for Team Rush. And time.
Time.
Something to note here, you might want to watch Team Beat right now. Fatso is going to do this kill without shooting leg snakes. Really good, really good.
Oh, lag snakes.
So because you have no leg, that fight is a lot harder without the leg snakes. You have to mash a lot faster, and really impressive mashing there by him.
Yeah, it's 7 shots, I believe, to get 1 jump, which is not
Really
trivial
tough.
at all. That's pretty tough.
Time is going to be coming up here for Team Auto here, as well as Team Beat. Ooh. Time Team Auto. And
Time for Team Beat.